All right. Thank you, Alan.
Okay.
If I find something, I'll
we're
let
on
you know.
Chaf,
Okay.
we are on Chaf test 29. The Gemara has some very interesting observations here. Huray Avera Kashum Avera. Lust for women, which sort of weakens the flesh, just the desire itself is stronger than if you actually committed a sexual act. Here, thinking about it is stronger than the act itself. The simanich recha de bisra. The simon for that is, for example, somebody who smells a piece of nice barbecued meat that's grilling. So that drives a person nuts more than it drives his desire more than if he actually ate it. We can understand that. Shili de kaita kasha mekaita. The heat of the end of summer is worse than the beginning of summer. We know that too in Los Angeles. September and October is hotter than anything because it heats up. The heat builds and builds and builds. The air's already heated up. The ground's already heated up. So then the addition of more heat makes it even stronger. The simonech, the way to remember that is tanura shkira. Like when you heat up an oven, after it's been heated up once or twice, the next heating up is much easier to heat up because there's already heat in the walls of the oven. Ishta desifta kasha midikaita. Having a fever in the wintertime is worse than when you have in the summertime. And there's because the simonech tanur karira, like a cold oven, meaning you have to heat up a cold oven much hotter to get it hot. So fever that has to heat up the body in the wintertime it's got to heat you up much more than when in the summertime when there's already ambient heat. And remember, fever is part of the immune response against inflammation and infection. The heat helps killing off bacteria and the various pathogens. So therefore, the heat that's required for your body to heat up is more to get you to the same temperature than in the summertime. Mikmar ba'atikta kasha mechadita. Learning something old that you learned and forgot is harder than learning something new. That's not that self-evident, but that's what the Gemara says. You learn something, forgot it, it's harder to relearn it, as opposed to learning something new. The simonech tina bartina. The way to remember that is if you are trying to make clay from clay that already been made into clay, like, let's say you have a clay pot that broke and now you add that, it's harder to do that. Tina bartina is harder to make into clay. So that's the analogy to it's harder to learn something again, that which you learned and forgot. On my time in the Rebbe, Dichsiv, where do you see a pasuk to prove what Rebbe said? He talked about the sun. The rays of the sun are like scattered. So he learns it from Tehillim, Lamnatseach al ayelet hashachar. The morning sun, Ma ayala zu karnei amavtzilos lekan lekan. And ayala is like a ram. So a ram's horns is made up of like these divergent rays. Av shachar zeh mavtzil lekan lekan. So the morning sun does the same thing. Now, the Gemara happened to mention this pasuk. Lama nimshla Esther la Ayala, because Ayala Tashachar is a remez to Esther Amalka. So the question is, why was Esther compared to a ram, female ram? Lo melacha, ma Ayala rachmat tsar. It's the makom, the place where relations take place. You know, in the lower genitalia is narrow, and therefore chaviva baila kol shav shakashar rishoina. Therefore, her husband is happy with his wife, because each time they get together, it's like the first time. So Esther Isa Chaviva Lachashverosh Kol Shav Shakashar Rishona. So that was Esther's relationship with Achashverosh. Achashverosh liked Esther Malka because of that. In fact, why was Esther compared to the morning sun? The morning sun is the end of the night. Of Esther Soif Kol Anisim. Esther is the last of the Nisim that are recorded. Freit Gemara Vayika Chanukah. Chanukah occurs much later than the Nes of Purim. How can you say Esther is Sof Kol Anisim? And for the Gemara Nitna Likosev Kamina, we're talking about. Remember, the Nes of Chanukah is not written in any of the Kisvei HaKodesh. But the Nes of Esther is written in the Kisvei HaKodesh. So that's the last Nes that was given to be written. That's good according to the opinion that Esther was supposed to be part of the canon of the books of Tanakh. There is a Mandomar who holds that Esther does not have Kedusha like the other Sifrei Tanakh. So how does he learn? Mukim lak Rav Binyamin bar Yefes Amar Rav Elazar. Rav Binyamin ben Yefes Amar Rav Elazar. Lama nimshlu tfilosan shel tzadikim kayeles. Why is the prayers of tzadikim like an ayeles, like a female ram? Lo melacha. Ma ayeles ukol zman shebegadels karem avsilos. As the ram grows, his horns are added, like layers and layers of horns are added. When tzaddikim daven, their tefillas are always heard. Okay, so then the Mishnah told us about a case where the sun came up, or they thought it was the sun, they shechted the tamid, then they realized it was the moon. So they shechted the tamid in the night, which was puzzle. They had to burn it. So the Gemara wants to know, shachtos atomid amos. When are we talking about this? Are we talking about, we're not talking about Yom Kippur, we're talking about the rest of the year. So lo sagid lav kohen gadol, because remember the Mishnah said, and the kohen gadol is then told to go be toivel. Well, I mean, the kohen gadol isn't around every day the rest of the year when they're shechting the tamid. Ela b'yom kippurim. Must be we're talking about Yom Kippur. Well, Yom Kippur we know its date is the 10th of Tishrei. Well, we know the cycles of the moon. Now, if they thought that the rising of the moon was the sun, well, we know the sun rises in the east. So, and we know the moon does not rise in the east on the 10th of the month. So how could it be Yom Kippur? So Hachikama, we're talking about the rest of the year. And it could have been on a certain day where the moon does rise in the east, like the 20th of the month, the 25th of the month, whatever. However, Uv Yom Kippurim, but on Yom Kippur, Ki Omer Baruch Bar Kai, the other halacha being taught in our Mishnah is that when they would announce, oh, you know what? It is morning because the sun is now lighting up the eastern sky from here to Hebron. And then the signal was Barak Barkai. That was the signal to Hoyridu Kohen Gadol Beis HaTfilah. That's when they took the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur to the mikveh. Tani Avod Ravavi, Lo Zu Bilvad Amru. It isn't just the Oilas HaTamid, the sheep that was offered every day as the Tamid that would be possible if they shechted it at night. Ela af malika sa'oif. If they did malika on a bird korban, right? Malika, when you divide the neck of the bird with the fingernail, that's malika. Ukmitzas mincha balayla. Now a mincha, we know the kmitza, when you take with your hand the flour and you put it in another bowl. So you were coin, that's like the shchita. And putting the flour is like putting the blood into a kli. Now you throw the kmitza, then you're allowed to eat the remainder of the mincha. Now, if you did the kmitza at night, a mincha is like any other korban where you can't do it at night, you have to do it in the daytime. So balayla tisarev. So there also, you would have to burn the kmitza, as well as the oilas ha'oif. So bishma oilas ha'oif. Listen, if you shecht or did malika of a bird at night, you got to burn it. My davavi. You can't correct the problem. Ela koimetz, the Gemara is asking on this issue of why do we have to burn the kmitza? Nahadra, throw the kmitza back with the rest of the flour in the daytime. And then repeat it in the daytime. Why do you have to burn the kmitza? So he asked the question, he answered it. The kleisharis mekach nafilu shelo bizmano. So even though nighttime is not the zman of the mincha, the koimetz is miskadesh. It gets sanctified anyways. Therefore, you can't put it back with the rest of the mincha. It to be tevel. So there's no shiraim anymore. So you got to start again. You got to burn the kmitza. And we learn a principle that the klishares has the ability to mitzkadesh something, even though you didn't do it at the right time. So on that concept, Meisvei, we're going to ask a kasha. Any korban that is offered in the daytime, like a mincha, the lavona, the normal dam of a ktoires, so kodesh bayom. If you put those items in a klishares, it gets kedushas of kedushas aguf. Kol hakorev balayla. Things are offered at night, like the minchas nesachim, which is permitted at night. So then, if you put the wine in a klishares, kodesh balayla. It can also be miskadesh at night with kedushas aguf. Now, there are those things that can be offered both day and night. Kol hakar bein b'yom vein alayla, then kodesh bein b'yom vein b'layla. Then they can be sanctified no matter when. Okay, that's the baraisa we're quoting. Ketani mias comes out however you want to learn. We said kol hakarev bayom kodesh bayom, but bayom mean balayla lo. So since a mincha, normal it's kedusha, it's karev in the daytime. So the sanctification of the mincha can only take place in the daytime, not at night. How can you tell me that a klishari says the ability to be mekadesh afilu shelo bizman? That's the Gemara's kasha here. Okay, says the Gemara, you know what? Dilma in a kodesh likarev. Yeah, it doesn't raise it to a sanctity where you can then offer it, but at least aval kodesh liposel. At least it raises it to the sanctity where it can become invalidated through some kind of psul, like psul of tumma, psul of taking it out of the azara, psul of lina. So that's what it means that it's miskadesh. Mosif Rav Zeh is another kasha based on this principle. Sider es alechem v'esabazichin achra Shabbos. You're supposed to arrange the Lekhama Panim on Shabbos, and it has to be there for 7 days. And then the next Shabbos, they go and eat it after they throw the spice that's placed on top of the Lekhama Panim. Now, if you arranged it on Sunday, so it's only going to be there for 6 days, it's mechusar zman. And next Shabbos, hikter sabezichin b'Shabbos, you threw the spice anyways the following Shabbos, psula. Because the Lekhama Panim didn't get, was mechusar zman. Ketzad Yaseh, what should you do? Yanichenu Shabbos haba. So it sat there from Sunday to Shabbos, but that's not enough time. It's only 6 days. Leave it to the next Shabbos. Shafilu amdal shulchan yami rabbi b'kachlu. It's no problem if it's on the table extra. It can't be on the table less than 7 days, but more than 7 days it can be on. Then you can throw the bazichin, and that's how would you take care of the problem. But the question is, since you just told me that a kli shores has the ability to be miskadish something, even shelo bizmano, at least to be mispasel it, at least to invalidate it, how can you allow this process of, keep it another week? Because tigdosh v'tipasel, listen, the shulchan is a kli shores. So at least let it have the kedusha of the Lekhama Panim to at least become invalidated. And then, since it was organized, shelo bizmano, it should be invalidated. The one who asked the question answered good. Vavud Ravavinami, and it was said in the Baraisa Baravud by the father of Ravavin. Savar, Laila ein mechusar zman. Something that is done at night before, for example, something's supposed to be done in the daytime, and you do it at night before the day. So if you do something before Zman, it's not called mechusar Zman. It lacked the time. Night and day is considered one unit. And therefore, the kli shores is makadosh even that night. Now, if you're missing a day, a whole day, or more than that, so that would be considered mechusar Zman. And that would be a problem. It would be makadosh the lechem to be mispasel. And then kimati beishimshi tigdosh v'tifsel. So then when remember, it was on the table for 6 days. And then you wait another week. And then the Erev Shabbos of that week, it should now, on that Erev Shabbos, it has Kedusha, yet it was not organized properly, it should become invalidated. Ravina, no, Shekarim the Silko. Before it gets night, you remove the Lekhama Panim. Then you do it again the next morning. Otherwise, you have this problem of the Kedusha will come onto it, li pasel. You wait until the morning and you put it, the Lekhama Panim, you order it the way you should. Now, no, you can solve the problem even if they didn't remove the Lekhama Panim before nightfall and did it in the morning. Because Kivan Shesidro Shalom Mitzvah Nasakami Shesidro Akof. Listen, you organized the Lekhama Panim for only 6 days. You didn't do it properly. It's as if a monkey did it. And like a person without bardas. And normally Lekhama Panim is miskadesh by being set up properly. But this setup was not proper. There was no Kedusha Chal on it as well. By Kmitza, which was maktir before its man, since it was done otherwise in its normal way, therefore, if you put in a kli shores, it would become invalidated through this shelo bizmano issue. Then the Mishnah said that if the Kohen had a bowel movement, he needs to go to the mikveh for total immersion. If he just urinated, he just has to wash his hands and feet. So bishma raglayim mishum nitzoitzos. So I understand if you urinate, why you have to wash your feet, because people, certainly of a certain age, will have post-void dribbling. They'll have a little urinary dribbling after they think they've finished. So there might be some urine on their feet. So I understand why they have to wash their feet. Eliyadaya my taima. Why do they have to wash their hands? The hands didn't touch anything dirty. You're not supposed to hold your member when you urinate. Mitzvah l'shavshei. You know what? If you have urine on your feet, there's a mitzvah to clean it off with your hands so people wouldn't see. Therefore, your hands get dirty, and therefore you need to wash your hands. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Tomorrow,
that's